Well, I want to go back and talk about the power response because Cody was mentioning the biggest ice storm for our state in more than a decade. This is probably the biggest power response that we've seen since Helene. And in that storm, both the EMCs in the state and Georgia Power, they have these reciprocal agreements with other states and other EMCs and other power companies to give aid when aid is needed. So in Helene, we saw even folks from the West Coast coming to the state of Georgia to help restore the power. So it's no surprise to hear that the power folks in Cody's background of his live shot were from Ohio, but Ohio is also getting snow. Now, when are we going to see things moving in here? Well, we've got to get the atmosphere to saturate, okay? We need our temperatures to drop below freezing to see that freezing rain develop. And the cold air is up here to our north and east. With our wind flow, this wedge of cool air, we're actually looking to see what are the temperatures doing to our northeast. It's 19 in D.C. right now, 21 in Blacksburg, Raleigh is 25, Charlotte 34. That cold air is on its way down, so it's not here quite yet. The sunset coming in will aid in those temperatures falling from the 40s where we are right now down into the 30s. So I know it's dry outside right now, but we're telling you, you got to prepare because once we go into the overnight and tomorrow, you're not going to have the opportunity to go drive to the store and get what you need to, especially in Northeast Georgia. So prepare for travel impacts, power outages, that threat greatest in Northeast Georgia, and closures. Some of those closures are not just going to be your Sunday church service, but closures will go into Monday. And I believe in Northeast Georgia, those closures could go into at least Tuesday morning because the outages are going to be prolonged. It is a big storm. You can see on the map all of our winter alerts. They stretch from New Mexico and even eastern Arizona across the southern plains, the Ohio Valley, even up to New England. They've got some winter storm alerts in effect with significant icing likely. We're watching this moisture coming through the Mississippi River Valley. That's going to be what moistens our atmosphere and produces that freezing rain. Snow breaking out on the north side of Nashville up through the Ohio Valley. We're still dry for the moment. We are awaiting the arrival of that wintry weather. So ice storm warning in effect. We have not seen an ice storm warning since February of 2014 here in North Georgia. In an ice storm warning, we have high confidence that at least a quarter of an inch of ice will fall. And those impacts and the amount of ice are really going to increase in Northeast Georgia. For more on that, meteorologist Dannielle Moss to break down how much we're going to expect and Dannielle, what that's going to mean for the roads and power.
Exactly. That is all playing a big part in the impacts that we've been talking about. And Melissa, another thing is when is it going to arrive, right? Everyone wants to know. We are waiting on the arrival. This is a look at the worst of it, right? This is when you can see almost widespread freezing rain falling, and it stretches from North Georgia all the way down to Peachtree City. And this is going to be overnight. So when you wake up in the morning, that's when those conditions will be very treacherous. And then we start to get a little bit of a break before some more heavy rainfall builds in behind this front that comes in. But here are your storm impacts that we're looking at. Hazardous road conditions, power outages, and closures and delays. We've been on top of the closures and delays, but let's talk about the freezing rain impacts and how much freezing rain it takes for you to see really large impacts. When we talk about a tenth or less than a tenth of an inch, that's just like a light glaze. And some of us will only see a light glaze, especially south of Metro Atlanta. That means you could see it on the trees, the power lines, and definitely have some slick sidewalks as well. You can see all those videos on social media of people slipping and sliding on the ice. That can definitely happen. That's just with a less than a tenth of an inch. Now, when we talk about a quarter of an inch, that is very problematic. That's when your windshield is going to be coated. You need to get an ice scraper for that windshield. If you have to drive in the next few days, dangerous bridges, and it's going to be very tough to stop on those roadways. That's why we're saying just stay home. It's not going to be a nice snow winter wonderland. This is all going to be iced over, so you need to make sure that you are prepared for that. Also, if you are getting more than half of an inch, that's crippling, and that could be you could be in your home for days. But this is a look at how much we are expecting in our area. Northeast Georgia, maybe half of an inch or a little bit more. Here in Metro Atlanta, we can see a quarter of an inch to half of an inch. That is definitely very, very high impacts for us here in Metro Atlanta, and south of the metro area, maybe a tenth of an inch. You're talking about major impacts in Northeast Georgia and moderate impacts here in Metro Atlanta. So it's all something that you have to continue to watch. We're monitoring this storm. This is why we're on air right now, Melissa, because we have to continue to watch the models. They continue to update even this close to the storm system arriving.
And they often don't resolve the wedge, the strength of the wedge, the development of the wedge. That's the wild card that often Doesn't matter what your phone says, you need a real meteorologist to interpret that. Let me put everything in motion for you. I want to talk about the icing that's expected, the timeline of it, and what's going to happen behind this weather system. Here's the big picture forecast track. Then we'll go closer in, just focused on Metro Atlanta. You can see the snow to the north stretching throughout through Kentucky and even the north side of Nashville, freezing rain to the south there through Memphis, and then to the south side of the system, there's actually a severe weather aspect over the next 48 hours. But as we go through the afternoon, our temperatures are going to start dropping. Then over this evening, we develop from rain to freezing rain. So moisture moves in, the cold air settling in, freezing rains developing. You can see by 9 o'clock, it's all the way down to Atlanta. Then it becomes widespread first thing tomorrow morning. As we head into tomorrow afternoon, there's a little window that warm air is going to try to push its way back in. First thing in the morning, freezing rain is area wide. Watch the forecast track into the afternoon. We're warming things up by 1 o'clock above freezing, and there could actually be some heavy rain developing for the afternoon. And to the south of the inner Atlanta metro, a chance of severe weather. In fact, there's some areas in a winter weather advisory and a level 1 risk of severe weather for just a few gusty winds within those heavy showers. Greater severe weather threats will be in southwestern Georgia. Here's the big picture. Rain moving through tomorrow afternoon. I think it's heavy or freezing rain still in northeast Georgia. We get the moisture out of here tomorrow evening, but then cold really settles in behind that. Monday morning, any moisture left over is going to rapidly turn into black ice. We expect a flash freeze overnight. Monday morning's low 23 in Atlanta. Teens in the mountains, you add gusty winds on top of that. It's not a good recipe for lowering the number of power outages. If anything, we'll see more outages Monday morning than what we see first thing tomorrow morning.